Hello, everyone, and welcome to this year's Graphic Novel Buzz Panel presented by the Graphic Novel Committee of the Children's Book Council. I'm Mel Schuett, a marketing manager at the Quarto Group, and tonight we have representatives from 11 publishers here to tell you all about their favorite debut middle grade graphic novels published this year. First, a little bit about the Children's Book Council. The CBC is the trade association for children's book publishers, and its work encompasses creating resources for teachers, librarians, and booksellers, organizing awards, and staging panels that let the book community know about upcoming titles, like today's. As part of the CBC, the Graphic Novel Committee advocates for greater adoption of graphic literature in schools and libraries, and works to bring books of particular note to a broader audience. And as a huge fan of the format, we of course feel the same way you do when we discover an exciting new read. So before we get started, just a quick note that if you desire or need any closed captions for this event, you can find that feature by hovering over your toolbar and selecting the closed caption button. We're going ahead and get started with Christina Colangelo from Penguin Young Readers.
Thank you, Mel. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us here tonight. As Mel said, my name is Christina Colangelo, and I'm the Executive Director of Trade Marketing at Penguin Young Readers. And I'm so excited to be talking to you today about Mexikid by Pedro Martin, a middle grade graphic memoir on sale August 1st. I'll just pause for a second so you can see the beautiful cover. So cue the summary. Pedro has grown up hearing stories about his abuelito, his legendary crime-fighting grandfather who was once a part of the Mexican Revolution. But that doesn't mean Pedro is excited at the news that abuelito is coming to live with their family. And what follows is the trip of a lifetime, one filled with laughs and heartache, and watching as Pedro finally connects with his grandfather. I think when you talk about kids' entertainment, whether it's books, movies, or TV shows, there are some that appeal strictly to kids, which is great. We need that. But my favorites are always the ones that work on two levels: big kid appeal, and then this whole other level that resonates with adults who are consuming the content with their kids. And Mexikid is exactly that. It's laugh out loud funny. It's actually like a master class on the wacky road trip trope. And the kid voice is spot on. But it's also an incredibly poignant and deep look at family relationships and the chasms that can exist between generations of families, as well as culture and learning about our own personal histories and how they help make us into who we are and who we're going to be. And of course, I have to talk about the art. It's so fun and the colors are so vivid. When you get to the scenes in Mexico, everything is so bright and vibrant. It feels like you're looking through a window at an actual real life scene. And while I think Mexikid is totally and wholly unique, if you and your readers love graphic novels like New Kids, Sunny Side Up, or When Stars Are Scattered, I think they'll love this one too. That's all for me. Passing it along to Erin Pascal next.
Okay, here we go. Also, my dog Obi just jumped up and joined. I know he's blurred right now, but so if you see him, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. My name is Erin Pascal, and I'm the senior editor for kids books at Andrews McNeil. Please just go on the floor, Obi. I am so thrilled to be chatting today about a new graphic novel debut that's coming out in fall 2023. Since this book isn't out until September, I don't have a visual with me, but I did just get the colored proofs back to the printer and they look incredible. So the book is called Memes and Thieves, Ferrets from Planet Ferretonia, and I strongly recommend looking at the cover online because you will absolutely love it. This is a debut release from author Lisa N. Cooper in a new series that's called Memes and Thieves. So this is book one, where we meet Memes and Thieves, who are, surprise, surprise, two ferrets from the planet Ferretonia. And on Ferretonia, they live on Duke Island, which is the sound that ferrets make. According to the elders, there is nothing past Duke Island, so don't even think about going there. Ferretonia is more advanced than Earth, so it's a society completely made and run by ferrets, who are advanced intelligent life forms that have created and later banned something called ancient tech. Memes is a smart, savvy ferret who loves science and messing around. His mentor, however, has disappeared, and Memes feels lost and alone on Ferretonia. Meanwhile, Memes' brother, Thieves, much prefers joking around and eating a sandwich to building different machinery. One day, the two brothers break into Duke Island's citadel of ferrets, where they learn that ancient ferrets have indeed left Ferretonia and invaded other planets. Using their old blueprints, Memes and Thieves build a travel machine with the biggest travel opal ever to go to a new planet. But things go very, very wrong when Memes and Thieves end up in the middle of the road on a planet some of us might know called Earth. They're excited. After all, ferrets clearly are the superior species between ferrets and humans, but are shocked when they end up at an animal shelter and learn that on Earth, ferrets are pets. They try to head back to Ferretonia, but their travel opal has split in two and they're missing half of it. They are stuck. Meanwhile, readers meet Lisa, a teen girl starting 8th grade. Lisa's parents are getting divorced and they're absent, leaving her in the care of her older adult brother, Sasha. Lisa is worried that in addition to all of this, Lisa's guinea pig Pushkin has recently passed. Lisa looks at a photo of Pushkin and says, "Why did he have to get sick?" But the story isn't sad, it's just multifaceted. So thanks to some encouragement from her brother, Lisa ends up at the animal shelter, and you guessed it, Ops, Memes, and Thieves. The ferrets use a communication opal so that they can talk to each other. Then together, Memes and Thieves help bring Lisa out of her shell and teach her that it's okay to grieve and it is okay to move on. Meanwhile, Lisa teaches her new friends that they can put their trust in others. Can she help them find the other half of the travel opal and help them get home? Well, that's what you'll have to find out in this first book of this new series. So Lisa N. Cooper is a debut creator who's also known as Siberian Lizard Online. She's just an absolute delight. She worked on this novel and actually just had her first baby, so they're basically twins. Her baby Charlotte was born last month. And this graphic novel is all about friendship, trust, and growing up. I love it because it'll really excite kids who love bold colors, humor, and the teeniest bit of sci-fi. And also, it's got elements of Lilo and Stitch, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Susie Yee's incredible graphic novels, Cat and Cat Adventures. So that's a little bit about Memes and Thieves, and I am happy to pass this along to Katie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Sains, and I am the Director of Marketing at Oni Press. And our middle grade debut for you today is Missing You by Philip Willian and Melissa Garabelli. This is a very emotional story about two young siblings who are dealing with the death of their mother when they come across an injured baby deer on the side of the road, and they decide to adopt this baby deer and take it home with them and make it part of their family. And through their relationship with this deer, they come to understand more about grief and joy and learning to let go. As many of you can imagine, a baby deer and who grows into a full-size deer is not exactly a household pet. And so they're faced with a lot of hard choices as this deer grows up and kind of is starting to yearn for the wilds that it came from. So very much a book for fans of Bambi, The Fox and the Hound, and all of those kind of animal stories that tug at the heartstrings and teach us more about ourselves. The art in this book is a beautiful watercolor with colored pencil. Every page of it looks like it deserves to be like a framed art piece. And as in the Bambi and the Fox and the Hound, this book does deal with a little bit of animal rescue. So the creators are very active in animal rescue where they're from, and they worked a lot of those themes into the book. So we do get a flashback of what happened to the deer prior to being adopted by this family, and nothing graphic is shown, but you do get a good sense of how the deer feels as it's being pursued by these people who want to do it harm. So it's very much a call to action for kids who to get more involved in protecting our creatures, and also to learn more about how to process their emotions fully, and how sometimes animals are the ones that can teach us to do that best. So incredibly heartwarming. If you have fans of other Oni graphic novels such as Pilu of the Woods by Mai K. Wynn or Sheets by Brenna Thumler, hand them Missing You next. This is a beautiful middle grade graphic novel, and it's in stores everywhere, April 11th. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Morgan Kane at Macmillan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Kane. I'm the Director of Publicity at Macmillan Children's Publishing Group, and I'm excited to share a debut middle grade graphic novel with you from our winter list. It is called Travis Davenport for the Win. It is by Wes Mulbach and was published by our first second imprint on March 21st, so brand new. It's for ages 8 to 12. This quirky fantasy adventure is for middle grade comic readers, D&D players, fans of Hilo, Star Wars, and Marvel. Travis Davenport wears its genre influence on its sleeve and lovingly pokes fun at geek culture tropes, fans of RPGs. And video game lovers will be drawn into inside jokes, references, and the style of the artwork, which I can show you a little of. That works. Here you go. In the book, our main character may be a genius, but he's always struggled to make friends. After his attempt to befriend the new kid Juniper results in an epic fail, Travis takes his sentient robot, Travbot, out for a ride. But when Travbot malfunctions, the two take a nosedive into the woods. There, they discover a legendary sword, a wizard from another dimension, and a mysterious prophecy. Wes is the creator of several popular webcomics like You'll Have That and Molebash, and that is the world where he honed his cartooning skills. He developed a style reminiscent of Calvin and Hobbes. He also created cartoons for Target, PBS Kids, and many other companies. All in all, Travis Daventhorpe is the first book in an action-packed adventure series with great characters and a fun plot that will have reluctant readers and the like completely hooked. Now, passing it over to Sarah Goodleaf from Flying Eye Books. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Morgan Perry, actually. Morgan Perry is next, sorry.
All good, no worries. Hi, my name is Morgan Perry. I'm the director of brand manager of editorial Skybound. Got me all confused up this morning. What's up? So yeah, I'm here to talk about Max Smith's debut graphic novel. He's a popular web cartoonist. The graphic novel is Scurry, and it's out now. I'm sorry, my blurring is kind of showing it off a little bit weird. But it is a debut graphic novel from Max Smith, which the school library journal calls a modern day classic with an underdog lead, and we're super excited about that. It is a 328-page graphic novel, so it's a chunky boy of a graphic novel for $14.99. And the synopsis is about a group of house mice that struggle to survive the long and strange winter. Humans are gone, the sun is barely seen, and a cold, dark rain befouls everything it touches. We're kind of in a post-apocalyptic world here. The mice are long dependent on humans for food, stubbornly clinging to their old ways and looting nearby abandoned houses for only scraps that they can find. Once there was plenty to eat, but now the scavengers return empty-handed, if with nothing at all, or not at all. Food is scarce, but danger is everywhere. Poison and traps await the unwary in the dark cupboards, and a gang of feral cats relentlessly chase the mice whenever the rodents leave the safety of their nests. Now there are even rumors of a hawk that has come to join the hunt. As supplies run low and many mice fall ill, desperation creeps in. With the colony at its breaking point, rumors of a wrecked truck filled with food give them hope. But it lies far beyond in the forest where the cats won't even go. So there's a lot of scary stuff going on here. Now, the colony's best scouts, including a brave mouse named Wix, our main character, embark on a dangerous journey to save the colony. But beyond the lawns and the fences of the neighborhood lurk far worse things than stray cats. When the mission goes awry, Wix and his friend Pick are flung far from home into the wilderness, full of ravenous wolves, hungry snakes, and vicious birds of prey. On their journey home, the two mice discover many other creatures are just out there scrapping to make a living for themselves out in the wild. We've got feral mice that are stubbornly guarding their land from outsiders, a colony of beavers in the north that are set on damming up a river, forming a huge lake that threatens the entire valley, and a trio of mysterious foxes that plot in the shadows, where really only their motives are truly known to them. Additionally, we have a stranger from the east that arrives following rumors that the long absent guardian of the forest that once protected everything may have risen or may not even exist at all. It's up to Wix and Pick to find food for their colony in Scurry, in stores now. And I'm going to hand it over to Sarah Goodleaf.
Hi, thank you. I'm Sarah Goodleaf. I'm the head of sales and marketing at Flying Eye and Nobrow. And I have the absolutely gorgeous, hopefully you can see it without the blur, Juniper May, Night of Tychotech City to show you. This just published this month in March, and it's an incredibly exciting debut for us and the first in a really epic 6-book series. So the series was created by debut author illustrator Sarah So. Sarah's worked for many major animation studios, including Nickelodeon, Netflix, Cartoon Network, and she's currently working as supervising director at Atomic Cartoons. Her style's incredibly engaging, it's super cute and contemporary, and the book combines classic comic elements like speech bubbles and panels with full bleed, spreads, and illustrations too. It makes it super accessible and also a really fun story for all kids, and we're pitching this at age from 6 all the way up to 11. It's perfect for first readers, like beginner readers, and also for reluctant readers and just anyone who loves a great adventure. The book launches us into a futuristic world where Taika Tech, a walled-off city, runs on some incredible technologies, but something is wrong. The power's cutting out and nobody seems to know why. Our main character, Juniper May, lives with her dad and her grandpa above her dad's shop. She's shy and she's really closed off, and her dad worries about her not having any friends. But Juniper is an incredible inventor and she dreams of solving the power crisis one day. She doesn't need friends when she's got her tools and her stories. She loves to read, and she reads these incredible fables of ancient female warriors who protected the city. And when one day a test flight for her newly invented rocket pack goes wrong, she's thrown from her quiet life in the city over the wall and into the deep, dark forest. But instead of the terrifying beast that she's been warned about, Juniper instead finds a friend. Albie is a sarcastic and sassy tamatama, which is like a little creature, a bit like a turtle crossed with a frog, super cute and funny. And the tamatama live in the forest. They're very peaceful and they're at one with nature. And she also learns how the tamatama and the humans once fought alongside each other and helped one another. On the return to the city, the two witness this terrifying event. Robo bugs invade the city and steal the precious energy that was remaining. And following them, Albie and Juniper are shocked to find out who has really been behind the robo bugs. And then, using her newly invented armor and energy sword, Juniper May must make a difficult choice to stand up, be brave, and to protect her city. The themes of the series are super contemporary. They're also things that I think are really looked for in children's books, especially at the moment. We've got a conflict between technology and the natural world, a struggle to find a sustainable energy source, and corporate greed. Plus, it's packed full of strong female scientists, inventors, and warriors. The book ends with a really satisfying resolution, but it's coupled with an even more satisfying cliffhanger. Something doesn't quite add up in the Robobug story, and we actually never find out who is really behind the power outages. And the last panel of the book leaves us with a shadowy mystery figure who definitely has a terrible plan, and all will be revealed in book 2, which we'll publish in spring 24. So I'm going to hand over now to Spenser Nellis from Mad Cave. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. But yeah, my name is Spenser Nellis. I'm the marketing coordinator at Papercutz Graphic Novels. We're a really great graphic novel middle grade imprint of Mad Cave Studios as of last year. But yeah, just first want to thank the team at CBC for putting this together. These book buzzes are always a great time, and I want to thank everybody who's hanging out with us tonight and also watching this afterwards. You know, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your passion for graphic novels. We wouldn't be able to do this without any of you, so thank you so much. But yeah, so I've got a really awesome title here for you guys. It's called Yogg's The Kraynobi Tales. It's by Art Baltazar, who you may know for his work on Tiny Titans at DC Comics and Itty Bitty Hellboy at Dark Horse, and his many, many, many original characters that he's created over the years through his Aw Yeah Comics imprint, which is also the name of his the comic book store that he co-owns and co-operates in Illinois and in New York. So yeah, so Art Baltazar has been all around the comic industry. He's had a really awesome career, but Yogg's has a really special place in Art's heart and also in ours as well, because this is actually the very first graphic novel that he worked on at the beginning of his career. So now he's sort of remastering it and revisiting all these awesome stories, and we're really happy to bring this out to a new audience. And this is the first in a trilogy, and it comes out August 1st. So basically, Yogg's The Kraynobi Tales follow these guys. They're called the Krays. So this is Kraybe Kraynobi, and this is Weezard, who's a wizard. And it's basically a story of all their crazy adventures that they've go on. It's a really fun kind of swords and sorcery comedy adventure series. It's got a lot of heart and humor that you know from Art Baltazar. It's presented in this really awesome format, and it's also just sort of, you know, Art's, you know, it was something from the very beginning of his career, and now he's coming back with all of the experience and knowledge. So it's just kind of just pure cartooning and whatnot. So it's really awesome stuff. And basically it follows the Kraynobis as they go on these adventures, saving their neighbors called the Yaggies, who are these little plant looking guys, and they really can't defend themselves from all the crazy evil that's out in the world, like this evil witch that's her name's Baba Yaga backwards, and these evil these evil bats here called the Evil Clue. So basically, the first volume of this sets up a lot of the world building, kind of establishes the Krays and the Yagis and all the different people in the world, and it's presented in this cool sort of flashback. The first volume, at least, is set up in this flashback kind of format where Kraby and Weezard are kind of reminiscing about all the cool adventures they've been on and kind of passing down their knowledge to the next generation of adventurers, and all of the while all this crazy other evil stuff is coming up on the horizon. So yeah, so it's a really awesome series. We're really excited about it. This is coming out August 1st, and we've got it on NetGalley if you're interested in requesting it. But thanks so much for your time, guys. And next, I'm going to pass it over to Tucker Stone at Toon Books.
Thanks, Spencer. Hi, I'm Tucker Stone, the executive editor at Toon Books, and I'll be talking to you tonight about our upcoming graphic novel, Paul Bunyan, The Invention of an American Legend, a Toon graphic by Noah Van Sciver. It's a graphic novel aimed right at boys and girls, 8 to 12 years old, telling the classic stories of Paul Bunyan, the lumberjack who starts out as a giant baby, and he goes on to become, a giant man. Noah Van Sciver is well known for his graphic nonfiction for adults, the most recent being the wildly successful Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon, but he got his start and he remains one of comics' greatest humorists. Both skills are on display in this, his first book for middle grade readers. Now, while the trappings of Bunyan are here, we've got Babe the Blue Ox makes an appearance, of course. What makes our version of the story of Paul different is that it tells the story that you'd hear first if you talked about the legend with a Minnesota librarian. Paul Bunyan was an advertising gimmick. It was popularized by a lumber company looking to assuage any doubts people had about the California lumber they were being sold after all the Midwestern pine had been decimated by the logging practices at the turn of the century. So Paul Bunyan's a story, right? And it's a story intended to do the work of colonization. In a funny way, yes, but not a benign way. It was told to paper over the violence of clear cutting and to help us forget and then ignore the First Nations people that lived in those very areas that the logging industry and white settlers forced out. As such, Noah is joined by Marlena Miles, a Dakota illustrator whose detailed historical maps will show what the land looked like before lumber arrived, as well as tell the stories that her people used to describe their relationship with the land. And geographer Dr. DeAndre Smiles, an Ojibwe scholar and geographer, who will describe how he came to discover that his own stories that progress had attempted to hide from him, as well as what the timber industry did to the land. Our foreword comes from Lee Francis IV, a Pueblo publisher and teacher who started the first native-focused comic book store in the world. And he'll describe how storytelling, whether it's around a campfire like in ours or in a comic book, also like in ours, functions to change the world. As with all Toon Books, we'll have teacher design lesson plans to go along with the book, as we found that it makes it a lot easier for classroom adoption to have that type of material. But our lesson plans and curriculum efforts aren't intended to be like ice cream on broccoli. With all Toon graphic novels, the goal is to have fun as much as it is literacy. There's no reason the two should live in separate houses. In fact, this book basically started because I looked at Noah Van Sciver's work and I was like, this is a guy who knows how to draw a blowhard. He knows how to make fun of pretension. So all Toon titles and supplementary education material will be provided in advance of release. If you'd like to know more about the book or you want to take a look at some of our limited number of advanced copies, you shoot me a message in the chat and I'll get one out to you. Thanks for your time this evening, and I'll turn things over to Whitney Leopard.
Thank you. I am excited. I'm Whitney Leopard. I'm the senior editor at Random House Graphic. My pronouns are she, hers. And I'm excited to talk to all of you about Grace Needs Space, which is our newest graphic novel that will be on sale next week by author Ben Wilgus and illustrator Ria Brago. It is a science fiction adventure with a contemporary story that will resonate with readers on Earth and everywhere else. And while middle grade contemporary stories have been dominating the market for years, Grace Needs Space adds a sci-fi twist to the equation. The story takes the grounded emotional character-based conflicts that drives contemporary middle grade stories and elevates it with a fantastic space visuals and an underlining fascination with space and engineering. Grace Needs Space would sit perfectly alongside 5-year-old's vibrant magical world, Katie the cat sitter's mix of growing up in fantastical adventures. I'm trying to show off some of the art. Oh, sorry, I should probably do it this way. And Sanity and Tallulah's day-to-day space station life. Communication with your parents shouldn't be rocket science, but for 12-year-old Grace, who lives on the space station with her boring mom and is constantly looking to connect with her other cool mom, who lives on a space freighter, sometimes it seems like it is. When Grace gets a chance to travel to one of Jupiter's moons with her cool mom, she is thrilled. Only when the trip starts, the fun adventure doesn't seem so fun anymore, with Grace's mom focused on work instead of adventure. The story explores the relationship between a kid and their separated parents, and a kid who wants to be understood by both her moms. Ben Wilgus brings to life an amazing and well-researched look at life in space, or what it could look like, life in space, and Ria Brego illustrates this book with such amazing detail that you'll have to read it multiple times to make sure you don't miss a thing. Great State Space is a lot of fun, and we know you're going to love it. And it, like I said earlier, it will officially be in stores next Tuesday. Thank you so much. And I am going to pass this off now to Lauren Casari.
Hi, everyone. I am Lauren Casari. I'm an editorial assistant at Little Brown Ink, and I'm excited to be presenting to you all Girlfriends by Cherie Miller. So yeah, some of you may know Cherie Miller from her successful picture books, Don't Touch My Hair, Prince's Hair, and Michelle's Garden. Well, a little while ago, she reached out to her longtime editor, Nikki Garcia, to say she wanted to try her hand at graphic novels. And lucky for us and for readers, she's really hit it out of the park. So meet Girlfriends. This is the advanced reader copy I have here. And yeah, so Girlfriends is about 4 Black girls from different backgrounds, different family structures, and with starkly different personalities, but who nevertheless are fast friends and always have each other's backs. I like to think of it as the Babysitter's Club without the babysitting. So yeah, as you can see, the first book focuses on Charlie in the middle, who is new in town and just wants to be accepted. So much so that she hides her true self and pretends to be someone she thinks her new friends will like. But in the end, friendship wins out, and Charlie learns a valuable lesson about showing the world who you really are and learning to embrace that person yourself. So this is the start of a series, and each book will focus on a different girlfriend. So for instance, book 2 will follow Nola as the friends rally around her to help save her mother's hair salon. And then book 3 centers on Sporty Kara, and then book 4 on Artie Ella. There aren't that many middle grade graphic novels out there that center Black characters, and fewer still in which the entire main cast is Black. So we're really pleased to be launching this series, which will help change that. And of course, Cherie's art is just as adorable as her picture book art and perfect for the current middle grade market. This is Girlfriends, and I'm going to pass this over to Mel.
Thanks, Lauren. So once again, I'm Mel Shuett, and I work at the Quarto Group as the School and Library Marketing Manager. Hopefully, many of you have heard about our new line of graphic novel style manga being published in partnership with digital comics publisher Saturday AM. Our current list has books that fall into the shonen, shoujo, and seinen demographics, and they are available for a wide range of audience levels. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the first volume of Gunhild. It's a middle grade debut by Fred Torninger, and it's rated Y for youth, so recommended for ages 10 plus. So in the world of Norse mythology, humans revere the mighty gods and fear the mystical and nature-wielding Jotuns, and Gunhild is a fire Jotun. Abandoned by her own kind and raised in a human girl's orphanage, Gunhild wishes to prove to her peers that she's more than just a little troublemaker. Gunhild's quest leads her to meet all of the famous gods that we've heard of, like Odin and Thor, though she's most interested in meeting the mischievous Jotun god Loki, who's hidden in a location only known to the gods. Her travels lead mainly to foes, but a few enemies become friends, and Gunhild gets to must fight smart and learn a trick or two from Loki himself to earn the title of godhood. Fred Torninger was born in Colombia and raised in Denmark, and she attended the animation workshop in Jutland, where she received a BA in graphic narrative. In 2021, she won the Danish Best Newcomer Award, also known as the Klaus de Luren Comic Debut Award. Gunhild has received positive reviews from Publishers Weekly and Booklist, the latter of which compared it to the popular manga One Piece. Gunhild is the first title in the Saturday AM line to be printed in full color, which is so much fun. And it publishes next Tuesday, April 4th. All right, I'm going to ask everyone, all the panelists, to turn their cameras back on so we can see you and ask you some questions. If we have time, after we've answered some questions that have been sent in from the audience, we'll go ahead and present a second book that we all have sort of waiting on standby, if that sounds okay to everyone here. So Deborah is a school librarian at Racine Unified School District in Wisconsin and has the question, will there be more graphic novels in Spanish for our dual language students? Does anybody have any Spanish language graphic novels on the docket?
We actually are at Toon. We already did Spanish language editions of our Jaime Hernandez Dragon Slayer book. We already did Spanish editions of our Lost in New York book, and Blancafor, which is another Latin American folktale. I can't tell you the title, but we have another big Latin American folktale by a pretty major cartoonist coming out that'll be dual released in Spanish and in English, hardcover and soft. The soft covers are always targeted towards schools with lower price points. We'll also be doing new Spanish language translations of our work with the cartoonist Liniers, Ricardo Siri Liniers, whose couple of his books are in Spanish for us, but we're going to translate the rest of them in Spanish. And then sometime next year, Black Heroes of the Wild West by James Otis Smith, which was a JLG book, also notable, that'll be translated into Spanish as well. The plan for our Spanish is to have at least 3 a year in Spanish going forward, either new books or translations of the previous kind of award winners.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I can jump in. We're publishing a Spanish version of Frizzy by Claribel Ortega, which won the 2023 Pura Belpré Award for Children's Text and was an indie bestseller. It's called Rizos, and it comes out later this year.
And I can jump in as well. We're currently doing Spanish translations for our pizza and taco series, which has gotten a lot of love and affection. And so we will be doing more of that. And we're looking into more series that we want to bring over into Spanish.
All right, now I'm going to ask the opposite question. Greg, who teaches in the school district in Illinois, wants to know if there are any wordless graphic novels coming out from anybody.
We just had, I was sorry, just jumping in. We just had a book called Flamingo that came out earlier. That is wordless, and that is also something that we continue to have a conversation about. But one that is currently out now would be Flamingo.
I wish I had a copy of it with me, but we just had this really great one-shot graphic novel called The Fly by Louis Trondheim, who's a really famous French cartoonist. It's a story about this little fly, and he's kind of a little circle with wings, and he's got gigantic shoes, and the shoes are like half the size of his body. And it follows the day in the life of just him trying to survive and in this little household and trying not to get swatted and trying to get food and everything. So it's really cute wordless series that we've been having a lot of great buzz on, pun intended. So but yeah, that one's available. That's what came out like last year or so.
Okay, how about any graphic novels targeted to English language learners? Meredith, who teaches at Glenn Elementary School in North Carolina, would like to know.
I would love to jump in here. So actually, Andrews McNeil, starting in fall 2023, we are doing some 80-page early reader graphic novels that are geared towards first readers. So English language learners is a big part of it, as well as kids learning and reading on their own for the first time. So in fall, in September, we're coming out with Pocket Peaches. And we also will be having Fry Guys, which is based on a bunch of French fries who get up to some ruckus and have to defeat an evil onion ring, which is a UFO. But yes, that is definitely geared. We've had it leveled, so we're really looking into that. And that momentum is continuing throughout 2024 and 2025.
I was also going to jump in here as well. So at Flying Eye, we're really focusing this year, especially on bringing more young illustrated graphic novels. So like the one I presented, Juniper May, but we have other series in the same style, and they would be perfect for English language learners too. They're also aimed at developing readers. So whether that's learning to read independently or whether it's learning to read English as a second language. And we have Juniper May as the first book in a series, and then we will also have another new series which is launching in May, which is called Monster Support Group, which is like a bunch of really cute recognizable monsters who all meet up in the library once a week to kind of solve each other's problems. It's got really great messages for kids as well, and there'll be 2 books in that series, one publishing in fall in time for Halloween.
At Tune, we kind of set ours up into categories. So the level 1 books is kind of the one that we kind of consider for early readers, consider for early English language readers. And so it has 100, 300 easy sight words, limited kind of panels for the stage to kind of learn sequential storytelling, that sort of thing. We have a new level 1 from Ivan Brunetti coming out on Shapes and Shapes. He did 3x4, which was a mathical winner with that's a math book. Obviously, it's a mathical award. And then we also have Caterpillars, What Will I Be When I Get to Be Me from Kevin McCloskey, which is part of the Giggle and Learn series. So it's about like the animals maybe we don't take seriously enough because they're not as cute as like puppies and that sort of thing. So.
One of the things we're doing at Oni Press is with our early reader graphic novels, we're working to make sure that they're all incorporating dyslexia-friendly fonts to help those struggling and reluctant readers who might have undiagnosed dyslexia. We had one called Emmeline Knight in Training by Kimberly Johnson that came out a few years ago, which was all about a girl who was struggling to learn to read because she had dyslexia. And then coming up this year in September, we have a really fun middle grade humor book called Penelope and the Cookie King Catastrophe, which is about a really fun pink character who's found out that all of the cookies in the kingdom have gone missing, and they have to battle a series of food-inspired enemies to restore the Cookie King to his rightful place as the #1 tasty treat of Pleasant Town. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's Penelope, and it comes out in September from us.
We have a great emerging reader graphic novel series called Blueberry and Pancakes. I believe the 5th volume is coming out this year. It's about 3 friends, a bunny, a worm, and a frog. Really cute and charming by Dan and Jason, who I know published widely and might be on some of your lists as well. But I feel like that's a really good one for this category.
Can you name the title of the Katherine Johnson book that had the dyslexic-friendly font?
Yes, that is Emmeline Knight in Training, and I'll also drop it in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. So this one's a very specific question. Jim, who is an owner at Kumquat Kids Productions, LLC in Oregon, wants to know what examples we can provide of good historical graphic novels about Asian and Pacific peoples.
I got one. Let me just see if I can find it.
I was going to say, someone needs to publish that book.
This is The Shark King by R. Kikyo Johnson. It's a graphic novel about Hawaiian legends. And then, although they're not on this call, Iron Circus also has a really amazing anthology of Pacific Islander graphic novel short stories, which is edited by Sloan Lung, cartoonist who I think half the people on this call probably publish her adult work. But that's a great book. And that's kind of middle grade, aims a little higher sometimes, but great Pacific Island stories in there from Pacific Island cartoonist.
So kind of along the same lines, Missy, who's at Woodington Middle School in North Carolina, wants to know what our best, like our top diverse graphic novels are. So I'm going to have each of you pick your top diverse graphic novel, and I'm just going to like call you out as we go. So we're going to start with Christina because she's first on my screen.
Gosh, I mean, I feel like we have a lot of these,
Yeah.
and I don't know if the question is specifically about sort of things that pinpoint like specific historical cultural references or just sort of showing diversity of character. I mean, the book I talk about today, Mexicid, is a great example, I think, of it. And then my next example that I was going to have, we have more time, is another good one, which is called Duels from the Boogie Down Bronze, which is about a young Dominican girl growing up in the early 2000s. So I feel like we've really tried to expand our list and, you know, not just look at it from like a specific cultural perspective, but like just showing diversity of character as well, even if in sort of slice of life situations.
Whitney?
I was wondering where I was on the screen.
And no, you don't get to know. No one gets to know. It's like roulette.
So I mean, I keep thinking, I was thinking of a variety of books, but I have a personal favorite. I know I shouldn't say favorites, but I do have a personal favorite that came out last year called Twin Cities by Jose Pimenta. And it's about twins who are growing up in Mexicali, Mexico. And one decides to go to school in the US in Calexico. and the other one and the brother stays behind in Mexicali. And it's basically these two twins who have to discover their identities apart, and discover their identities of living on a border town and the stuff that comes with it, while also just like being siblings who have different expectations and different wants from the world. I think it's a really good story. And another book that we have that came out previously, I would say, is the Magic Fish, which is one of my favorite YA books that we've done, that explores both a coming out story of a young boy trying to figure out how to come out to his Taiwanese parents, and then also there's a story of the parents as they came over to the US for the first time, and it's all about language and the importance of being able to communicate with each other, and the importance of family and history and just being connected. And nope, I can't talk about that. Never mind. That's it for me.
Well, now we want it. Morgan Perry.
Yeah, so I have two. One of them is one of our YA graphic novels from Skybound Comet, which is the Clementine series that is being helmed by Tilly Walden. This is a tie-in to the Walking Dead video game franchise that features Clementine, who is a BIPOC, femme, queer, amputee below the knee character that is, just trying to find her way through life in the zombie apocalypse. Like, you don't have to be a fan of The Walking Dead to enjoy this book. It's truly just a coming of age story. But what we've done with that book series in particular is that our editorial team and Tilly have worked with sensitivity readers as well as disability consultants on that book to make sure that Clementine's lived experience is accurately portrayed, especially in the conditions that she's living in. And then the second book is one that I would be talking about in the second portion if we have time, which is Everyday Hero Machine Boy by Tri Vuong and Irma Nivola. Both of the creators are of Asian descent living in Canada, and they pull a lot from their lived experiences there. Even though it's a sci-fi book about a robot boy who crashes on a planet that's similar to Earth, he lives, he's learning karate and he's learning how to cook, and he's involved in his very favorite K-pop band. So they pull a lot of their own lived experiences into this character, and it's just a sweet, sweet book about a good robot that just wants to be a hero, and I love it. So those are my two.
Awesome. Katie?
In the middle grade space, a favorite of mine is Pax Sampson and the Cookout by Rashad Doucette and Jason Reeves. It's about a family of Black superheroes, and the youngest one has a choice to make if he wants to follow his passions of being a cook or follow in the family footsteps. And of course, when big threats arise to their world, he has to make that choice fairly quickly. It's just a really wonderful look at the dynamics of family life and also all of the choices and things that go along with growing up. So in the middle grade space, that's a good one. In the YA space, one of our most popular ones is Mooncakes by Wendy Xu and Suzanne Walker, which is a really cute love story between a non-binary werewolf and a lesbian witch as they fight some forces who are trying to take down wolf magic. So very cute, very much recommend.
So fun. Morgan Kane.
Okay, well, the first one is not new, but I can't not mention it in this discussion, which is Jean Luen Yang's groundbreaking American-born Chinese, which is particularly relevant because a Disney Plus series of the book is coming out the end of May. So we have a brand new edition for that. Obviously, it was the first graphic novel to be nominated for a National Book Award. Just incredible if you haven't gotten your hands on that, but it has been out for over 10 years. But then something brand new, something coming out this August, Saving Sunshine, also on the second list. This is a relatable, funny, heart-wrenchingly honest graphic novel. It's a poignant story of Muslim American siblings learning how to build each other up in a world that is too often unkind.
Tucker?
It's going to be Dragon Slayer, the Jaime Hernandez graphic novel, Folktales from Latin America, which has been out for a while, but it recently got adopted by the New York City Department of Education. And so we were able to sell like a lower priced paperback version for classrooms. So it's a book that's actually getting out there and actually getting out there both in English and in Spanish. And, telling stories that are, Folktales from Latin America are not, Latin American versions of Cinderella. They're their own universe of folktales and story. And and Jaime really picked out ones that he really liked. I also would have to say that the Paul Bunyan book I talked about was, it was very challenging and an enlightening experience for me to get a chance to kind of deal with both talk to the Dakota tribes and talk to the Ojibwe tribes, and to actually like talk to like an Ojibwe elder about the relationships between these two groups that are often flattened into these are the native nations that live in this part of the country, but they are not. I mean, they have their own entire universe of history between them, and it's just exciting to actually be able to like pull back on that and not have it just be like, yeah, these are the people that were here before. It's like, no, they had entire cultures and they weren't the same culture and they weren't the same people and they weren't necessarily friends with each other. So that's, I mean, I feel like when we talk about diversity, it's often like, well, what are we talking about here? And it's like to actually like open it up and have it be a real conversation about you know, the different types of experience and lived experience that these people have. And I wouldn't have had that experience if it hadn't been for those people in that book. So I'm glad that that's in there.
Lauren.
Yes. Hi. I guess for us, that would be buzzing. I actually have it right here because I was going to present on it later. But yeah, I guess it would be buzzing. Buzzing is basically a book about a kid with OCD and how he kind of deals with and struggles with intrusive thoughts that are represented as bees that are kind of floating around his head all the time. So I think for us, I feel like that would be the most diverse book, not only just in the characters and the cast of like supporting like friends that surround him, but also just in the way that the book kind of tackles mental health issues with kids. And yeah, I really like this one. So yeah, I guess that would be that for us.
Sarah?
I think my current favorite is definitely Juniper May, which I presented today, which is Sarah's author or creator is Asian American, and the characters are also Asian American. And there's also, I think Sarah does a really good job of creating a very diverse world in the background. The background characters are kind of like represent our society very well. Her grandpa is drawn as using a wheelchair, and she's kind of like improved it and made like extra inventions to his wheelchair. And then maybe something that I'll talk about maybe a later one, but a little sneak peek. I've got a really beautiful new comic coming next year with a main character who is deaf and uses sign language to communicate, and she kind of crosses over from our world into a fantasy world where she finds that her signing gives her this ability to control magic in a really interesting way. It doesn't even have a title yet, but that's my future favorite, and my current favorite is Juniper May on our list.
Thanks. Erin?
So this was also going to be the second book that I chatted about. I'm so excited to talk about Skip for a second. So Skip is a graphic novel by author Sarah Burgess, and it's coming out in November of this year. So it features a non-binary character named Jay, but the book is not about being, you know, the pain points of being non-binary. Jay is just non-binary. That's just who Jay is. And Jay is also looking for a place and where they belong. And that's when Jay discovers a Double Dutch team. And the Double Dutch team has a Black female character who is named B, and Jay and B become very close very quickly in this kind of platonic friendship. Author Sarah Burgess is non-binary as well. We had it vetted by a variety of sensitivity readers, and Sarah based this off of their own friendship with their best friend. So it deals with a lot of really cool conflicts about that kind of intense platonic friendship. And also Double Dutch, which is just very cool. And side note, Craig of the Creek will be featuring Double Dutch in their episode next week, and Missy Elliott will be voicing the person who does Double Dutch. So any Craig of the Creek fans, definitely check it out. Not related to that, but I like it. So
Erin, one person wants to know if it's ASL or BSL.
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
I know what ASL is, American Sign Language. I assume BSL is British Sign Language.
I think that's for Sarah.
I was just typing in the chat. So we used a consultant, and they're working on it at the moment to make it as international as possible, so that it will have signs that are in both ASL and BSL, and also other international sign languages. So it will be understandable for all markets and all countries. And it also has a guide to sign language in the back as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. Spenser.
All right, I was trying to see if I had it in my library, and I did, so that's good. Yeah, so in terms of diversity and just diverse casts, one of my favorite is this series called The Mythics. Basically, it's a really fun sort of mythological globe-trotting kind of superhero adventure series about a bunch of kids from around the globe discovering that they have deep connections to various gods in their country's pantheons and such. So they it's a very cool coming of age story where they all find out that they have these crazy powers and there's an oncoming darkness that's trying to take over the world, and they have to sort of band together and put their differences aside to fight back against it. And it's really great. It's kind of presented in this cool kind of manga inspired artwork. Here they all have sort of really cool kind of magical transformations where they all get these really cool like super suits and stuff. So it's really fun. It's kind of like a mythological Power Rangers kind of. So it's a lot of fun stuff with that.
Great. And last but not least is me. And I think my top diverse title right now is Clock Striker, which is about a young Black girl, which is not very often found in manga, who dreams of being a smith, which is a legendary warrior engineer, but they do not accept females. So it's sort of her battle to make a name for herself. And she ends up having some secret powers that she didn't expect to have, and a secret special magical arm that she didn't expect to have. So things get pretty crazy pretty quickly. And it's T for teen, 13 plus. Strongly recommend. I think we have time for just a couple more questions. I saw one come through the chat about whether or not anybody has any autistic friendly books for people on the spectrum.
We actually have a book called Invisible Differences, which is all about a woman learning that she has autism and how that frees her in her life, and how that is like a really great diagnosis for her to get, because she can then understand better why she feels different from other people. That one is...
We do have Sensory Life on the Spectrum, which is an anthology and collection about autism stories. It is not necessarily for kids. I believe it is technically an adult book, but there really is no reason a kid couldn't read it.
Great. I think we've got time for one last very loaded question. You guys ready? So Becca, a children's librarian in Imaginon in North Carolina. We've noticed in our public library system a recent increase of juvie chapter books that heavily utilize graphic novel conventions like panels and word bubbles, like the Bad Guy series, but are still considered chapter books and not graphic novels. Are there factors that publishers consider when determining whether crossover titles will be marketed as graphic novels versus chapter books? Does anybody have any books like this?
Yes, and the answer is yes. I mean, so I know for us, we have a lot of internal conversations over, we don't want to mess up format, and a graphic novel is a comic beginning to end. It's not a hybrid model. And so there might be some books that are hybrid that will add like a graphic novel bisect, but we will acknowledge, like whenever we advertise it and market it, we will acknowledge that it's an illustrated book, because we don't want there to be confusion between the formats for what people are getting, because some people, whenever you pick up a graphic novel, you want a graphic novel. When you pick up an illustrated novel, you want the illustration and the prose. When you pick up a prose, maybe you don't want any illustrations. I mean, I personally always want illustration, but like everyone has their own specific formats that they're going into.
Yeah, I think there's a distinct, I mean, usually it's for color. I mean, we have a lot of, I feel like at the advent of sort of the surge of graphic novels, there was a lot of like highly illustrated novels that people were trying to kind of like say, oh, it's kind of like a graphic novel. And I guess it's true to a certain extent, but I feel like, as Whitney said, like, it's like if you're looking for a graphic novel, you're looking for a graphic novel. So we try to be very clear, both in BISAC and any kind of copy, when something is highly illustrated and might have word bubbles and all those kinds of drawings, but isn't actually a graphic novel.
Okay, I think we are pretty much at the end here, unless there are any final questions from anyone who's listening in. I want to thank everyone so much for joining us today, whatever time of day it is for you. Really appreciate it. Just wait another minute here, make sure nothing else comes through. I'm going to ask that everyone here type their email addresses in case anybody has any questions. You can reach out to any of us about ARCs,
books.
Any old thing. Okay. Thank you again so much for joining us. We hope I hope your reading list got much larger than it already was. I know that mine did. So thank you again. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.